Hello and happy indictment today. Happy Indictment Day. Welcome to today's broadcast. I'm Javina, and look, it's been a long 8 years. The journey isn't over. But as former Representative John Lewis always reminded us, this is not the journey of a week, a month, or a year. This work is constant. Do not be discouraged. Do not despair. Get in good trouble. To pay note to the students who've been organizing in Tennessee after 3 children and 3 adults at a school. One factor being the overly easy access in the United States to high-powered weaponry. The fact that it's become a thing that people do if they are feeling antisocial and have access to high-powered guns. It's just become a way to express your dissatisfaction, with life and with other people. For too many children, their mental emotional health is falling victim to these type of gun deaths and gun violence, and too many adults are also being bullied by those who continue to willfully misinterpret the Second Amendment, continue to willfully overlook the first few words of the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia. So Donald Trump is championed by those people who are willing to overlook any amount of criminality in favor of being excited by a white supremacist champion for them, who clearly has a privilege preservation agenda, is a hero to people who feel threatened by the quote of a changing culture and a changing society that is becoming more inclusive, that is becoming brave enough to recognize the immorality and misdeeds of the past, brave enough to say we don't have to pretend that white people were always heroes, that white Christian people behaved well. Bob said the kids demonstrating in Tennessee bring back memories of my hippie days when we demonstrated in the 60s. That's awesome. I'm going to play ladies' clips of the Tennessee protests.
Why isn't the media talking about the fact that thousands of students have been organizing at the Capitol in Tennessee for days now after the mass shooting that happened last week, and local state politicians are getting pushed out and ostracized from their jobs just for...
So 3 Democratic lawmakers in Tennessee who stood with the protesters who are protesting preventable deaths, who are protesting the theft of life that occurs in large part because of Republican obstruction with regard to gun safety laws that are needed and that are desired by a majority of Americans. And
we're standing with these protesters. Let's talk about it. A mass shooting at an elementary school last week took the lives of 6 people, 3 of which were 9-year-old children. Since then, Gen Z and students have been organizing at the Capitol demanding for more gun regulation. Some state lawmakers decided to stand along with these protesters and also demand for gun regulation. This is what one of the lawmakers had to say this morning.
We've been kicked off our committees as representatives elected by our constituents. Each of us represents 78,000 people, and our people are being silenced because they're kicking us off from committees. They're threatening to take a vote to expel us today. Our member ID badges have been shut off.
This needs to be on every single headline. This is not what democracy or freedom of speech is, and this cannot be the precedent. Why is it?
So, yeah, corporate media has been making some decisions today to not center some of that reporting. It is unprecedented that a former president is being arrested for crime, so it's important to definitely include those stories, but these stories are also worthy of inclusion because they are alarming. They show an emboldened Republican Party that is prepared to defy democratic norms and kick out elected representatives for the First Amendment protected right to protest and to join with protesters. It's not illegal activity to protest. And unlike January the 6th, these protests are not an insurrection. They're not an attempt to overturn the consequences of an election. They're not an attempt to steal power. They're an attempt to exercise a voice to protest bad policy. Yep. Oh, and we'll see a little bit of how the news conference for Trump attorneys is not going very well. And note also that the 34-count felony indictment of former President Trump has also been discussed on Twitter by Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney. He notes that Manhattan is home to the country's most significant business market. We cannot allow New York businesses to manipulate their records to cover up criminal conduct. As this office has done time and time again, we today uphold our solemn responsibility to ensure that everyone stands equal before the law. So, yes, thank you, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Let's hear Trump's lawyers. I know one of them is Joe Tacopina.
President not use language. He requested that everybody involved refrain from using what's inappropriate. And by the way, that includes the witnesses, the witness for the people who are talking just
But it
as
also
much
includes the former president swinging a baseball at the DA.
Well, I don't know where you got that, because
Was a tweet
that
sent
was-
out by the former president.
He
no,
doesn't
it wasn't.
tweet.
And first of all, that picture was not him swinging a baseball bat. I mean, if you want to distort the fact,
It was the juxtaposition of Donald Trump holding a baseball bat in a threatening position, juxtaposed next to a picture of District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and there's no plausible deniability that to say that Trump didn't do that on purpose. It was purposeful.
let's go right ahead. I won't address that. Yes, it is. He wasn't swinging a baseball bat at anyone's head. That was a picture of him showing off an American-made bat. But someone else put a picture of the district attorney next to him, and in an article posted that. That's not.
And Trump posted that. Trump posted that article that had those two juxtaposed images. So he endorsed and he amplified the pairing of those two images paired in a threatening way.
His article's on his photos.
Using language that cites.
Talk about. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the history of this.
Yeah, he does sound like a mob lawyer. Fun. Bob notes that some of the demonstrations you were at got very violent. It was in the 60s, though, wasn't it, Bob? And they were often protesting being conscripted into a war where people reasonably anticipated losing their lives. So there was a lot at stake. People nowadays are also anticipating losing their lives, but not quite as directly. And we will note that Martin Luther King was assassinated on this day in 1968. So it's historically a big day and also an unprecedented historical day as well. Let's note also that Wisconsin voters are hopefully all getting out to the polls today to protect bodily autonomy, to protect their own rights, rights to establish a family under their own terms, their own readiness, and also to obtain appropriate levels of healthcare in response to medical emergencies that can accompany pregnancy. Oh, okay.
Future of abortion rights, gerrymandering, and a free and fair 2024 presidential election are on the ballot in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Tomorrow, April 4th, control of the Wisconsin Supreme Court will be decided by voters. Whoever fills that seat will tip the court left or right. This means that future rulings on abortion access, gerrymandered maps, and even the 2024 presidential election are on the ballot. The Wisconsin Supreme Court was only one vote shy of overturning the results of the 2020 presidential election. With control of the court on the line, different circumstances in 2024 could tip the scale in a different direction. Future of abortion.
Yes. Okay. As she notes, the Supreme Court in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, was one vote away from just deciding to throw out the election results and allow Trump to have his own way with an alternate slate of electors in violation of the Constitution. But they were close to doing it. He needed more than Wisconsin to win, though, in terms of electoral college votes, didn't he? So another state might have also had to take note of Wisconsin Supreme Court's actions and followed suit. Or can anybody answer this question for me? Does Wisconsin have sufficient electoral college votes that it could have overtaken the gap? Because Joe Biden got, 302 electoral college votes, and Trump got 230. So yes. Oh, and the 60s, Bob is saying the 60s demonstrations were also about women's rights. That's great to know. Thank you, Bob. Trump supporters, we will note, because it's important to know that a majority is on the side of justice. Trump supporters and fascists in general will always they'll always misrepresent their numbers as being greater than they are. They'll go for pomp and spectacle to try and give the impression that a moral majority is with them, that the morality of the masses is on their side. And it's not true. People might be intimidated into letting Trump supporters continue to fabricate their own version of reality, falsify claims, believe in lies, and manufacture outrage to their heart's content. But it is the acquiescence of other people that allows fascism to escalate. And in this case, people in New York know enough about Trump's crimes to not accept whitewashing, literal white supremacist whitewashing of the malfeasance, the misconduct of a white-collar criminal, but also a criminal in many other senses of the word. So today, the crimes he's being charged with, the felony counts he's being charged with, are the white-collar, but nevertheless very significant crimes of document fraud, misrepresenting the payments made by him to Michael Cohen to recompense his fixer/attorney, Michael Cohen, for the hush money payments that Cohen made, wire transfers to Stormy Daniels to buy her silence days before the 2016 election, so that she didn't confirm for the public that, yes, it wasn't just locker room talk when Trump's voice was captured on a hot mic confessing to sexually assaulting women, to grabbing them by their genitals, to doing what he wants because when you're famous, they let you do it. That yes, this was not just locker room talk. It wasn't fanciful. He was describing his own actions. He was describing his own lack of sexual morality in that he cheated on his third wife, Melania Trump, a few months after she had given birth to their first and only child, Barron Trump, and was at home with Barron Trump as a baby. So that's going to be all from me today. I noticed that Takapina is trending, and I guess that's just because he's a lawyer for Trump. Tucker Penis says the rule of law just died while someone holds a mannequin leg over his head. Let's have a look.
That incites.
Guys, here's what we're talking about. We're going to talk about the efficacy case. And I will say this to you. Today's unsealing of this indictment shows that the rule of law died in this country. Because while everyone is not above the law, no one's below it either. And if
no one's above the law, no one's below it either. So it is a good point to make that no one's above the law. That is one of the triumphs of today, that justice, the wheels of justice are finally turning, and there is a degree of accountability for Trump. He's having to face up to the rule of law in court and has been arrested, has been fingerprinted. Weight has been documented as 270 pounds, which contradicts his former doctor, Dr. Ronnie Jackson's false claim that Trump weighed 239 pounds. Just part of the fascist propaganda of propping up Donald Trump as an ideal specimen when, like a lot of us, Trump struggles with weight management. I'm not innocent of that charge myself. It's not a crime, but lying repeatedly to people is part of a recognizable pattern of authoritarian behavior when you seek to promote yourself as an infallible strongman who just intimidates other people into acquiescence. And you're supposed to keep buying that narrative whilst the actual facts show that Trump kissed up to the Chinese president, President Xi, in order to obtain a trade deal and cover up the fallout from Trump's disastrous self-initiated tariff wars a program of trade wars that he began antagonizing Mexico and China and Canada in terms of trade markets for bidirectional trade for goods between those important American trading partners, that Trump jeopardized the economic health of the United States. He spun the manufacturing sector into a recession in 2019, and that Trump was desperate to cover up, to distract from any reporting on that topic, that he is a bad economic manager, that there is a human cost and an economic cost to allowing a grifter, megalomaniac, narcissist, conman criminal in office. So thanks to anyone who watched today. Google manufacturing recession 2019 if you want to learn more about the harm inflicted on the United States economy by Trump's poor decision making, Trump's performative strongman posturing with the unintended side effects of depressing American economic activity. Towards the end of 2019 was when those chickens were beginning to come home to roost, and had COVID not occurred, Trump would have had to find some other way of covering up that burgeoning economic disaster. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and happy impeachment. No, happy Arrestmas. Happy Indictment Day. No, he's already been indicted. Happy indictment, happy arrest. Celebrate the restoration to functionality of America's legal system, which for too long was able to be intimidated out of providing accountability and justice to the American public by the successful Trump strategies of bullying, intimidating, and propagandizing against prosecutors who were showing any signs of any kind of willingness to hold him accountable under the law. Today, no one is above the law. Peace out.